grab a drink, light a candle, and let's bitch.
So, girl dinner.
Girl dinner.
We're not crazy. I bet everybody that's listening to this is like, oh, I know what girl dinner is.
Yes, absolutely. Everyone knows.
And let me tell you, when you're pregnant, girl dinner is like amplified. Cereal tastes better. Little crackers and cheese are like a full meal.
I've been in such a snacky mood. I am not pregnant, by the way. The other day, all I did was snack. It was Monday. Every time I didn't have something in my mouth, I was like, you know what? I need a piece of candy. I need a cracker. I was so hungry all day. My brother and my sister-in-law just had a baby. And I said, if they needed like food, I would be like more than happy to pre-make some meals for them. So I took the day off the other day. I went to Costco at 9 a.m. because they open earlier if you're an executive member. So I could get in before all the other normal people are. So I got in at 9 o'clock on the dot.
You're walking in, you're like, these peasants.
Well, it's funny. So Anthony and I were both up early because we live by a factory that's kind of loud and they woke us up. And then the cats also woke us up. So we're like, you know what? We're just up. He went estate sailing with the guys. I'm going to go to Costco. So I woke up early. It was like 7:30. I came down. I used like a recipe app and I got on and I found recipes that would freeze well and that were also like easy to just throw in the crock pot or throw in the oven to warm up. So I made a list of recipes, printed them out, made a shopping list on that app, took it to Costco, and I went grocery shopping. So I got there at 9 o'clock on the dot. There was a line of people waiting to get in, mind you. I go in, I get all my groceries. As I'm walking to the checkout, it's starting to get... When I go to Costco, I always park in the back of the lot because it's just too busy, and I don't want anyone to park by me because I like my car. I don't want anyone to hit it.
Now, do you mean the back of the, like, the farthest from the building or back,
Yes.
like, if you're going there, like, you know how they do, like, if you go on the side, like, where the wall is
Sometimes
or, like, where
I
a
go
hill
on the
is?
side, but there is, like, a line that's next to the trees that's also far away from the building, and I'll normally park on the side by the trees. But sometimes I will go, like, towards the side of the building. If they're not super busy and there's some spots there, that's where I'll go. Or if Anthony and I have the truck, that's where we'll park because it's easier for us to take the cart and, like, load it into the truck that way. But I actually parked close enough because there were enough spots that I could see the handicap spots. And there was like no one in my row. I'm like, this is perfect. So I'm in there. As I'm walking up to the register, it's getting real busy. I hear them calling to open more registers. There's only like 3 of them open. They're like, all right, you're going to have to start coming up. From the time I went in to the time I got back out to the Jeep, I was in there for 35 minutes. The parking lot was completely filled. That's how many people showed up in the first 35 minutes. Well, really, first 5 minutes that they were open because they had only opened technically 5 minutes ago. So it was crazy. But then I went to Walmart to just... The cats have been insane because they don't like their cat food. So I went to get the rest of the things I needed and cat food for them. Just like different ones. I know you're not supposed to like switch your animals' food, but they get tired of their food and then they don't eat it and they act like menaces. So we're switching their food. I got 3 different types. And I'm going to find out which one they eat the best and which one they act the best on. And then that's what I'm buying until they get tired of it. And then I'm going to switch to the next best one. So
I don't know if it works with cats, but what I do with the dogs whenever they do that, because we have their dry kibble that they get, like they have a bowl that sits with their dry kibble in it. And then for like dinner, we give them like a little portion of wet food, whether it's like just regular boiled chicken or if it's actual dog wet food. And they would get to the point where they're like, well, I'm not going to eat the dry kibble. And then they whine all day that they're hungry until we give them their wet food for dinner. And I'm like, no,
exactly
you need to eat your kibble. Like,
yeah,
you're not going to just get this. Our vet told us if we go and get like a beef broth or a chicken broth, just that, and just dribble it over top of the dry food, they'll eat the dry food. And we start doing that anytime they start acting up. So I don't know how it works with cats if it's the same thing, but it works. Yeah. And it's cheap.
I'll try that because I always have chicken stock in the fridge. I'll just pour some chicken stock over it. That's a good idea. I am going to try that.
And you figure if it's healthy enough that you're eating it, it's healthy enough for them. Yeah. Like it's not like, you know what I mean? You're not giving them stuff that
we give
has
them
like
their wet food
byproduct
for breakfast because it's just easier for us when we're in the morning, but we're not always home at the same times at night. So we have that on like an automatic feeder. So, but I am going to start doing that when I notice, because even today, like they still have some in their feeder of the old food, but I have the new food on top of it. and I gave them like some when I was refilling it, but they're like mad that they can't get the new food. And I'm like, you got to eat the old food first. I can't get it out of there. Yep. So I was like, you have to wait till it's there. So maybe I'll try that later, because I'm sure it's still down there, because they went down, sniffed it, and then didn't eat it. So I'll try that. But I went to Walmart, came home, unloaded the Jeep. All right, I'm going to get cooking. I got like one of those big things of ground beef. I made 3 meatloaves. I made a stuffed cabbage casserole with the ground beef. And those were my first 2 meals that I did. And then I did beef tips. And when I did beef tips, like I just mixed them up and then have like all the seasonings and like veggies in them so they can just throw them in the crock pot and cook it. Like I didn't actually cook that one. The only ones that I cooked were the meatloaf and the stuffed cabbage casserole. And I got a rotisserie chicken at Costco, because Costco's rotisserie chickens are only $5. So, and the price never changes. So I got a rotisserie chicken, took all the meat off, made 2 boxes of stovetop stuffing, put it in there, made some mashed potatoes. And I was like, oh, well, we're going to have meatloaf and mashed potatoes for dinner then. So I made extra mashed potatoes. I saved myself a meatloaf. So boom, dinner's done. Then I made beef tips, and I was like, all right, I'm going to give them half this package of beef tips. I'm going to take the other half. So we had beef and broccoli the next day for dinner. So, and they had beef tips to throw in the crock pot. Cool, done. That goes in the freezer. I did honey garlic chicken and vegetables. I did Dijon maple mustard chicken, creamy onion pork chops. I still have stuff to make, but I haven't made yet. I wanted to make like a hash for breakfast, because I figured like people were probably giving them dinners, but they also need to eat at other times. So I got a 20-pound bag of potatoes, and I'm going to cut some potatoes up and like make a hash so they can put in the freezer with like some kibasi. And I got some andouille sausage, and I got a thing of chicken sausage. So like they can do that. I don't know. I just try to do different things. I am forgetting some, because I made like 8 things, which I had so much fun, if I'm being honest. I forgot cooking was fun. It was great. I wasn't happy about going shopping, but then being able to just like cook all day, it was a lot of fun. I listened to my audiobook for 10 hours. It was great.
You need to teach me how to do that, because mentally I know how to do it step by step. Physically, I'm just part lazy, part I don't know. Like, I can teach you. I've tried. I need to meal prep. I would love
to do that. I would have so much fun. You can come over one day, we'll meal prep all day.
And I've never been to Costco. I normally go to Sam's.
We're gonna go. So Costco's, as someone who had a membership to both, Costco's better.
I've heard it.
Except Sam's Club has hell of a good potato chip dip, and Costco doesn't. That's the only. I will only eat hell of a good potato chip dip, because it's the only kind that tastes good.
Now, I know that they have more variety. Like, they have more, like, food itself. Yeah. But are the prices better?
I think they are. However, every time you go in and you're like, I have a list. I'm sticking to this list. I'm not going to get any more. You always end up spending like $300. Anytime I go, I did stick to my list that day. And there were other things I needed. Like, I knew I needed laundry detergent, but I was like, no, I'm going to wait till next time. And I did need Kleenexes that weren't on my list. And I was like, I'm actually going to get those today, which good thing it is, because I think I have the plague. So I'm glad I got those. I don't feel bad, but I woke up this morning and I was like, in 2 days, I'm going to feel real sick. So yeah.
My sinuses are just now getting better. Sinuses are an issue whenever you're pregnant to begin with, but with the weather changing as much as it has, like, I feel like our weather has changed so much just in the last week. We went from like cold 20-degree snowy weather to like it was 60 today.
Well, I also feel like I accomplished that much stuff the day that I cooked everything, because it was 60 degrees outside. I had the windows open while I was cooking. It was amazing. My cat sat by the window and they just sat there and stared at the birds all day. They were having the best day. I was having the best day. The windows were open. The kitchen smelled good, but there was fresh air going around. It was fantastic. But anyway, back to girl dinner. So I had pulled out a rack of ribs from the freezer because I thought like I could season those and give it to them. But there's 3 of them and I was like, I don't know if like 1 rack's enough. And I don't really know what sides they eat with their ribs. So I decided not to do them, and I decided to just keep that for dinner through the week. And I was going to make Asian ribs, but Anthony goes to wing night on Tuesdays. And I think he's kind of burnt out on barbecue because we had barbecue for our wedding and we've been eating the leftovers. So he's a little like burnout on it. So I was like, all right, I'm going to put these ribs in the crock pot. And I put celery, carrots, and onions at the bottom. I put in ginger, soy sauce, garlic, a little bit of miso paste, chicken stock. I laid the ribs on top with like a Japanese barbecue sauce. I cooked them while I was at work, low, 10 hours, all day long. I come home, I take the bones out. I like shred the pork and I grated some carrots on the side. I cut up some green onions. I cooked noodles on the side, and then I made soft boiled eggs, and I made myself my own little delicious bowl of ramen. It was delicious. I'll send you a picture of it. It
sounds delicious.
So good.
My only fear is your version of girl dinner and my version of girl dinner are so different.
No. Most of the time I have instant ramen, a can of soup, or one of those pre-made salads that you just put the dressing on and like mix it up. Mm-hmm. I will make one of those pre-made salads, mix it up, put it in the fridge and eat it for like 3 days. That's normally what I do. I just had cooked so much and I had those ribs in there where I was like, I got to use these. I don't want them to go to waste. So I made soup, but then I also had I took leftovers with me today to work. And then I still have some in there. Like I'm going to be eating it all week, but yeah, it was super easy. So I could teach you how to do that too.
Okay. Because the look I'm giving you right now is like, that sounds like a 5-star Michelin chef made it. I'm sitting here like, I made cereal. I know how to take a box and pour it in a bowl.
We can work on it. I'm going to teach you. We can work on it. No, okay. Normally I have instant ramen. It just happened to be that I felt like cooking this week because normally on Tuesdays I don't cook. Yeah. So. But anyway, you want to get into our topic?
Yeah. What are we talking about today?
So last week we talked about some of our favorite things, movies, books, TV shows. So one of the books that I read recently and I was really into was called The Alice Network, and it was by Kate Quinn. And it was like a New York Times. I don't know if she was a New York Times bestselling author or the book itself was a New York Times bestseller. I think the book itself was a New York Times bestseller. But I use Libby for audiobooks, and because I'm cheap and I don't want to buy things, but I want to listen to the books. And I needed an audiobook to listen to. And this one, sometimes you can go into you can filter it to available now, and books that aren't normally available, you can get right away. So I did that. This book came up and it just the cover had a girl with a plane over top and it looked like it was historical fiction. And I was like, wow, I think I would be really into that. So I got the book and I don't remember if it told me at the beginning. It was historical fiction, but it was based on a true story. So there were fictional parts to it, but there were also true parts to it. So spoiler alert, if you want to read this book and not have it be spoiled, you should stop listening to this episode, go read the book, and then come back once you finish, because I'm going to spoil the whole episode for you. Sorry, Bricelyn. You don't get that option, but I do hope it makes you read the book. And if you listen to the episode and haven't read the book, I do also hope that it encourages you to read the book, because I think it was a really good story. And I think the book's going to tell the story way better than I'm going to tell it, because I'm not an author. So this book was so good. So it was based on a true story, and it took place in France and Belgium while it was under German control during World War I. It also had time jumps, which is a little confusing when you listen to audiobooks. At least for me it is. So once I figured out that there were 2 different main characters and there were time jumps, the book got way easier, and I went back, restarted it, and I was like, okay, I understand what's going on now. So part of the story takes place post World War II, and part of it takes place during World War I. And there's 2 separate main characters. I think the girl's name was Charlie, and then I don't remember the other girl's name. You'll have to read the book to find out. But in the book, there are 3 characters that were actually real people. And the people who were real characters in the book were during the World War I time. So I'm going to butcher how you say this, because I am not French. So I'm really sorry. There's going to be a lot of words because there's a lot of towns and there's a lot of names that are French. I don't speak French, even though I did take it in high school, and I would love to. However, I don't speak it very well. So there are 3 main characters in the book who were actually real people. Louise de Bettigny, who is known as the Queen of Spies in real life, and her name is Lily in the book, but she went by in the book and in real life as Alice Dubois. The next person is Louis Van Hoot, who is a Violette in the book, and Cecil Alamer Cameron, who is Uncle Edward in the book. So we're going to go back to Louis. So Louis Marie Janine Henriette de Bettigny was born July 15th, 1880, And although her family had financial difficulties, she attended a school with the Sisters of the Sacred Heart. Now, the Sisters of the Sacred Heart was a Roman Catholic religious order that focused on education and catechetical instruction, care of the sick, and social services according to the needs of the church, what they needed at that time. So she was brought up in a Catholic school, even though her family couldn't afford to send her there. So in 1898, she left for England for a higher education with the Ursulines. I tried to look this up. I didn't understand what it meant, so I'm not positive, but I think she went for higher education with the nuns. Like, I think she went to be taught by the nuns.
Oh,
so,
okay.
She spoke English, German, and Italian, and she worked as a tutor in Italy in the early 1900s. And this is how she traveled and, like, also made a living. So she used to travel. I don't know if she taught those things or if she was just, like, a tutor in general. But Louis had a sister, Germaine, and in 1914, they were living together. In 1914, shit got real. World War I started. And it was, like, real bad where they lived. I would elaborate more, but there was a lot of big words and names that were French. I can't pronounce them, but the sources will be in the description. So go ahead and look those up for yourself. I highly recommend it. Like, the sources that I found were really good. So definitely go look those up if, you know, you want to learn more about this. Once again, or read the book because they're going to tell this story much better than I will. So October 4th through the 13th in 1914, Lisle, which is a town, the Lisle troops held enemies for several days under a battle that destroyed 2,200 buildings, including many houses. So during that time, Louise, and this is a quote, moving through the ruins of Lisle, ensured the supplies of ammunition and food to the soldiers who were still firing on the enemy. So she would run through and she would find ammunition and food, and she would basically take them to the soldiers.
So she was like a certified badass, basically.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Another thing she did is she would write down the last words of the dying Germans to send back to their families.
That is heartbreaking. I know. That's heartbreaking.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Especially because, like, the Germans were the enemy and she was still doing it for them, you know? Like, they were the enemy, but she was still trying to make sure, like, their families got their last words, you know?
Yeah, you definitely wouldn't see that nowadays.
So, you're wondering, what is the Alice Network? So after the Germans invaded Lisle, Louise started carrying messages from people who were trapped to the relatives in unoccupied France. So there was two parts of France. Part of it, well, all of France, but only part of it was occupied by the Germans or by the enemies. So she was stuck in the occupied part, but she would smuggle out messages to unoccupied France. You want to know how she did this? She did it by writing them in lemon juice on a petticoat. Once she got to her destination, she ironed the petticoat, the messages became visible, and she cut them apart and sent them out for delivery.
Shut up. Are you serious?
That was a quote.
We should try that. We should have a project night and try that and see if it works.
That would be so much fun. We should do that. Yeah. I have lemon juice and an iron. We could totally do it. I don't have a petticoat, but it's just fabric.
You would figure it would just be like a wool, right?
I don't know. We'll try different fabrics. We'll see which one works best.
Yeah, we're going to try that.
Prepare for World War III, you know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. If we could send secret messages to each other that way, that'd be so cool.
We should do it just for ourselves. That would be fun. Could you imagine the guys be like, what are you doing?
It's one of those moments where you're like, I learned this in a take-home thing. Like, you know how whenever the old commercials on TV for like kids' toys and stuff, they'd be like, have your parents call this number and pre-order it today. It's kind of like that, where it's like, we got a science project. We're trying something out. It came to our house, and we're going to see if it works.
Did your parents ever let you buy anything off of those?
Hell no, I'm one of 4 kids.
I also was not allowed to buy any of them, and I'm only one of 2, so... Anthony used to get all of them. He used to say that all the time.
Of course he did. The only thing that I, like, looking back, that I think I really wanted was, it was like black paper, but you could take like the pencil. It was just a plain brown pencil, and it would be like rainbow writing if you drew it across it.
Did you have like the scratchy ones?
Yeah. That was the only thing that I think in the commercials that I liked.
Did have those, but they weren't from TV. They were from like the dollar store. But I used to love doing them. You would just like scratch them off, and it was so much fun. Yeah. I used to want the ones where it was like a sponge and you put it in the paint and it made a rainbow.
Oh, that's cool.
I used to want that so bad. But now being an adult, that would have been so easy for someone to make me on their own without buying me the thing. It just would have been a sponge with ink. And then, you know, I could have been making rainbows all day long. Yeah, I always wanted the stuff from TV. And I remember being like, Mom, can we get it? Can we get it? She was like, no, I never got them. But oh well, it's okay now, I guess.
Why did Brandy call off work today? Well, she got artwork and she's staying at home to play.
Anthony and I have been watching Harry Potter and building Legos in the basement.
I love that. I love that for you.
It's
I'm a little jealous.
Of fun. We skipped the first movie just because we've both seen it like so many times, but we've watched 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we have 6, 7, and 8 left. And they had some Pokemon Legos come out. So he's like, I really want these Pokemon Legos. They were expensive. But his birthday was just a couple weeks ago. So I was like, hey, if you really want those, I'll go half with you. It can be part of your birthday present. So we got the Legos. I was like, but I get to build this specific part. The box of this is humongous. It's like probably 2.5 feet by 2.5 feet. A cube. Like, it's huge. So those came in last week. And then he's like, yeah, I had money off for something on Legos and they had another cool one. So I bought some more. We did not need more Legos. But he's like, I got one for you, so it's okay. I'm like, did you actually get one for me? They showed up today. He got me Harry Potter bookends. So I can build them while we watch Harry Potter. And I'm so excited to build them. I was like, this was so thoughtful. I'm like, I'm so excited to build these. I know.
Now, if you're going to do the Pokemon ones, are you guys going to watch the movies? You're going to see how many episodes you can get through?
I think
I would
we'll
vote
probably
episodes.
wait until we're, yeah. I think we're going to wait until we're done with the movies until we find something else to watch because I think it'll be too hard. Just because we have to keep the basement kind of dark when we watch Harry Potter. We watch it downstairs with a big screen and the surround system, so it's really cool, but it's probably too dark. I think because of how big it is, we need more space than the coffee table downstairs. I think we need to put it on the table and either listen to something over the speakers or see how many episodes or seasons of a show.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna take a long time. But anyway, on to the Alice Network. She did this by writing them in lemon juice on a petticoat. And once at her destination, she ironed the petticoat to make the messages visible and cut them apart for delivery. So people, she was really good at what she did. I don't want to say people knew that this was happening, but they saw it, but they knew that she was doing this, and it caught the eye of some people. One of the people was Cecil Almer Cameron, who, if you read the book, is Uncle Edward. So she was recruited by him. He trained her and sent her to occupied France to set up the Alice Network. This is where she got the name Alice Dubois, and she ended up starting an intelligence network of over 100 people. So the original reason to start the Alice Network was so that way she could do this. She could write in the lemon juice on the petticoats and transfer information. That's what she was doing that on her own without anyone. She just decided that she was doing that, and that's what she did. And then people were like, hey, we actually think you're really good at this. Would you be willing to work with us? Would you be willing to become a spy for us? And she was like, hell yeah, I'll do that. So she joined and ended up starting her own network in occupied France to try to fight back against the Germans. And I don't know who else was in World War I because I don't remember that. However, it was definitely the Germans in the book. So I don't know if it was anyone else, but it was definitely the Germans in the book.
Two main coalitions, the Allied powers and the Central powers. So Allied would be France, Great Britain, Russia, later Italy, and the US. And the Central powers were Germany, Austria-Hungary, the Ottoman Empire, and Bulgaria. And I am not genius. I Googled that just now.
The Ottoman Empire. Wait, what? Can you Google the Ottoman Empire? Mm-hmm. Because I thought that was like Aztecs. I have to be so wrong.
I think you're right. I just think you're thinking of the wrong one. Member of this power allied with Germany, Austria-Hungary that entered in 1914 October. Okay, so it consists of, so it's showing in here different years, but basically that's who it consists of. It consists of like Budapest, Venice, Constantinople, the Black Sea, Baghdad, Jerusalem, Cairo. So like all of those would be included. But it's different.
I wasn't
years.
aware that was interesting. Is that still a thing?
No.
Welcome to Learning with Brandy and Bricelyn.
Right. Welcome to Learning with Google. No, it's not still around. It ended formally in 1922.
Okay.
Replaced by the modern. So it was replaced by the modern Republic of Turkey and several other successors in the Middle East and Southeastern Europe.
Okay.
So it's those areas,
that makes sense. Okay.
including ones surrounding it, until it got disbanded in 1922.
I don't think this is my fault. I don't think I ever learned that because none of this sounds familiar to me.
Territory-wise, at its height, the empire covered parts of 3 continents, including modern-day Turkey, Greece, the Balkans, Egypt, and areas of the Middle East.
Interesting.
You never know.
Also, would you ever go on vacation to see the pyramids?
Absolutely. I don't know if Mike would be comfortable with that, but I'm 100% for it.
That would be so much fun. I would do it.
So much
Anthony,
fun.
I think, would also do it. Would Mike be more interested in doing it if Anthony was doing it? Maybe not right now during,
not right
used
now
to the current state of the world, but
I think if you told Mike, hey, Anthony's going, I'm sure a big part of Mike would be like, maybe I should go.
I think that would be fun. I just want to see the pyramids, but I know it's also a city there and not like, it's still in the middle of the desert, but it's like a city, not just in the middle of nowhere in the desert. So I don't know if it will be the same. I do have a friend who went to Egypt and saw the pyramids. Maybe I'll ask her about it and see what she says. I am going to do that. I'm going to ask her about it. So anyway, she started an intelligence network of over 100 people. So this intelligence network got information. They gave it to her. She took it back to Cecil Cameron from occupied Belgium. And it's estimated that they ended up saving more than 1,000 British soldiers' lives from January through September 1915, which is why she was given the nickname the Queen of Spies.
That's pretty badass. I love that nickname.
I know. Imagine being like, this is what, over 100 years later, still referred to as the Queen of Spies. You know?
Yep. How
impressive. So how did they do this? She smuggled information. One example is she smuggled a map of Lille, I don't remember how you say it, showing where the Germans, I've also been drinking. I just want to point that out. And maybe I shouldn't have done that before this. However, my throat was really sore. So I made some alcoholic orange juice and I've been sipping on it the whole time we've been doing this. And maybe that wasn't the best idea. However, maybe it was. We'll find out. Once again, read the book instead. All right. They provided info back to Cecil Cameron. She was given the nickname Queen of Spies. How did they do this? She smuggled information. For example, they smuggled a map of Lille showing where the Germans set up a battalion, and they had it bombed within 8 days.
That's a quick turnaround.
I know. They got a map, smuggled it out, gave it to Cameron, and he talked to, I think it was the British, and the British bombed them within 8 days, which they didn't have email back then.
Yeah, so, no, that's a quick turnaround.
And telephones weren't the same. Like, all telephones could be listened in on. So, like, this was basically all done by, like, hand.
Yeah, word of mouth.
It's impressive. She also told the British the date and time that the Imperial train was carrying the Kaiser on a secret trip to the front of the war. 2 aircrafts were to bomb the train, and they missed. One of her last messages was about a German attack on Verdun, which is in France, in 1916. And although it was relayed to the French, they didn't believe it and didn't do anything about it. Of course they didn't. No. So there was another person that she worked with. This lady's name was Marie Leonie Van Hout, and her name in the book is Violette. And she was a French resistance fighter and a secret agent during World War I.
Again, another badass.
Yes. Who worked at the border between France and Belgium with Louise/Alice. And her codename was Charlotte Lemeron. And do you want to guess what she did for a living? Why she kind of got away with this stuff? She was a cheesemonger and an ambulance driver.
What?
She was a cheesemonger.
Okay, I'm gonna sound stupid, but what is that?
I think she made cheese.
Oh, like an actual an expert who curates stores and sells cheese. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. She sells cheese.
I mean, that makes sense with her being French, I guess. But
yeah,
cheese.
I guess it does. See, that seemed really funny to me.
What do you do during the day? I drive an ambulance, and then at night I make cheese. Like that.
Wait, does she make it or does she sell it?
It says knowledgeable specialist who's an expert who curates stores and sells cheese.
So she does both. Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. All I can think of every time I read that is like Sheriff of Nottingham. where you're
Yes.
like, have the contraband.
Yes,
And it's
contraband.
like the stinky cheese.
I also really love her name in the book, Violette. That's very
Violette.
pretty.
It's such a pretty name. All the names in the book were really pretty.
Mm-hmm.
You should read this book. It was really good. She was trained as a nurse for the Red Cross, but she didn't want to treat the German soldiers. So I don't actually know what that means. If she specifically didn't want to treat the German soldiers, or she didn't want to treat anyone because nursing wasn't for her. I couldn't really find as much information about her as I would have liked to. But so instead she worked for the Alice Network by finding unguarded roads for the resistance. So she identified passages, trains, and information about weapons. She located ammo and she spied on the Germans. And one of the reasons that she was able to travel freely was because of the ambulances that she drove. So since she worked for the Red Cross and she was an ambulance driver, she could use that to her advantage. And that's how she got a lot of this information.
There's that, but I'm also like, knowing how long ago this was, and like, you're a woman. They're not gonna, a lot of people aren't gonna look at you back then and be like, oh, you know, she'll benefit us. They're looking at you like you're just a woman. So the fact that both
because
of them,
that's all you know how to do.
exactly. So the fact that both of them were like serious spies and pulled all this shit off, like that's badass. And the fact that
It's impressive.
She didn't even have to like hide. She just probably drove out in the open in her ambulance and was like, hey, here's what's going on.
There is a part in the book that I won't spoil it, because if this part of the book had been spoiled for me, I would have been so upset. So I'm not going to spoil this like specific part, but there was a point where they were like, we're women and we'll use that to our advantage.
Oh, nice.
Because they think that we don't know any better because we're women, you know? And they use that to their advantage. And it was such a good part of the book. But I won't say anything more other than that. But I couldn't find any information on this except that she was arrested September 24th, 1915, and sentenced to 15 years in prison. I don't know why she was arrested. I don't know what she did. I thought it was because she crossed a border illegally, but she was an ambulance driver, so that doesn't make any sense. So I don't know why she was arrested. I tried to find out, but I couldn't find anything. But the Germans used subterfuge, and I might be saying that wrong, but I think that's how you say it. And I had to Google that because I didn't know what it means. And it basically means like they tricked her into talking. They knew she was up to something. They didn't know what. They tricked her into talking. And in the book, I don't remember exactly, and I could be wrong because I read a lot of books, and I might be confusing it with another book I read. I might be confusing it with Alchemized, but I don't think I am. Basically, the Germans gave her opium to make her talk.
Oh, see, that's cheating.
It is cheating, but they basically shot her up with opium, made her hallucinate, and then she started talking. I don't know if that's historically accurate. I don't know if they actually did that because I feel like opium was expensive. I don't know. So,
yeah, but you figure during war.
Yeah, but it had to be in short supply for like soldiers.
Right. And if she was an ambulance driver, it could be that she already had it on her.
That's true. So they might have taken it from her and used it against her. That makes sense. But they used subterfuge. They tricked her into identifying Louis de Bettigny from photographs, which eventually resulted in her arrest. So when World War I ended in 1918, Van Hoot was freed from prison. So she was caught, sentenced to 15 years in jail. They tricked her into identifying basically Alice Dubois, the Queen of Spies, kept her in prison until the end of the war, and then let her go. So
I'm surprised they let her go.
I know. Well, I also, I read the book. I think it says in the book. I'm not positive, so I'm not going to speak on it. I also don't know if that was like historically accurate, why they let her go, but I don't want to ruin it.
It just makes you wonder though, like, especially like even today, like you figure if you're captured, you're done for. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Like I'm going to jail and I'm going to rot there. Back to Louis de Bettigny, Queen of Spies. She was caught. She was arrested by the Germans on October 20th, 1915, and she was sentenced to death. But later, her sentence was changed to forced labor for life. I don't know why. I couldn't find information on that. But for some reason, it was changed to forced labor for life. And she died September 27th, 1918, from an abscess after an operation. So She lived 3 years in prison, had
That's
an
sad.
operation, it got infected, and she died. But after her death, she was awarded the Cross of the Legion of Honor, the Croix de Guerre, 1914 to 1918 with Palm. I don't know what that is, but it sounds important. And the British Military Medal. She was made an officer of the Order of the British Empire. So,
Those are high honors.
highly decorated. Someone who was never really in the military.
And someone who was a woman.
She was a woman. She was a civilian. And she decided to be a spy.
See, I'm still going to read it. I still have it in my TBR. Like, you telling me just makes me want to read it sooner.
That was kind of my hope from this podcast, is if it would make you read the book. But also, I had never heard of her before reading this book. Like, I didn't know she existed. And she was like an important part of this. Like, this war could have turned out so much differently if she didn't do the things that she did.
Well, and like, you learn about World War I in school. Like, why didn't we learn about that? Like, that definitely would have kept my attention in class.
Exactly. Like, if I knew there was a queen of spies and she used to write messages with lemon juice on her petticoats to, like, deliver them, I for sure would have been so interested. We should go be history teachers. And we should teach the fun things.
We just had to Google half of the information to learn
That's true. Maybe we should start a podcast, and maybe we'll do history podcasts on here. You guys can listen to Slightly Tipsy Brandy and Googling Bricelyn.
Yep. That's how we teach our class. Brandy drinks, I Google.
Perfect combination.
Perfect. No, that was a good one. I'm definitely going to read that.
A little bit about the book, just some extra things that I have. It was a New York Times bestseller. I highly recommend it. It is during a war. There's some brutal parts, some things that may deter some people from reading. If you don't like reading about war or drugs, rape, bad things that can happen during bad times, maybe this book isn't for you. I did think it was really good. I thought it was really interesting. And the fictional parts of it were a really good story. Like, the fictional parts of it are someone looking back. How should I say this? The one character in the book is a girl who's pregnant and is trying to find her best friend. I can't remember if it's her cousin or her best friend after World War II. As she's trying to find her best friend, she comes in contact with this lady. I don't remember her name, but she worked in the Alice Network. And she had some PTSD, but she was one of the spies that was under the Alice Network. And that's how the story is told, of the things that you find out from the Alice Network are the things being told to the girl. So you'll get flashbacks from, like, this person to this person to this person. It was really interesting. It was a really good read. But again, if you want to read it, it is called The Alice Network by Kate Quinn.
Yay. I'm excited. I'm going to read it. It's already on my TBR. I just need to move it up the list now.
I do think I want to buy it to have it as, like, a trophy book on my bookshelf.
I was trying to explain this to Mike the other day because he's like, what is the difference? Like, you have it on your Kindle, because I like my Kindle. I do. I used to be, everything needs to be a physical book girl. And then I was given a Kindle for, I think it was my birthday. He got me a Kindle a couple years ago and it changed that. I'd rather have my Kindle because it's just easier. I can access it from my Kindle itself, or I can access it on the app for my phone. So, like, I can read if I'm, like, in between doctor's appointments, or if I'm, like, you know, waiting for something. But I tried explaining this to him also. I was like, I also want to have, like, I have some books that are like trophy books. And he's like, what does that mean? I'm like, I read it and I loved it so much that I know I'm going to read it again, that I'll probably still read it on the Kindle, but I want the physical book on my bookshelf. So that way I have it.
I want to be able to share it with someone else. Like, if you come over and you're like, what's this book about? I can be like, oh my God, it's so good. Please take it. Please read it. And then just, you know, give it back. But I did give 2 books to someone not that recently, in, like, I don't know, August, September, October. And they were like, I promise I'll give these back to you. I haven't got them back. And I wouldn't be that upset if they were my books, but one of them was my mom's books. So I'm a little upset about that, because you told me you were going to give these back after you came home from vacation. And you've been home for months and I still don't have these books. So I could care less about the one that I have, but I'm going to, like, buy the book that was my mom's so I can give it back to my mom.
Well, reach out to her first before you go. Yeah, reach out to your friend first before you go buying anything, and just be like, hey, just touching base. Be like, hey, I have another friend who really wanted to read that book. If you're done with it, can I get it back?
I don't want to be weird, but also, like, if something happened to it, like if she ruined it or something, I don't care. Like, I'll buy a new book. I could care less, but I feel weird doing that. I don't want to be like, hey, where's my book? But also every time I see her, I'm like, fuck, is my book's back? You know?
Yeah. Whenever I was in my car accident, I had my favorite book with me because I read it like over and over and over again when I was in high school. And it was in the back seat. It is The Catastrophic History of You and Me by Jess Rothenberg.
Oh, that's such a good book. You told me to read that book and I read it, and it was wonderful.
It's my favorite book. I reread this book maybe twice a year. Like, it's a quick read. I read it so quick. I speed read it because, like, I know what chapters I don't like. I know what chapters I do. So I literally go through it in like 2 days. But I had it with me and it got destroyed. Like, the pages were ripped. The corners of the binding were torn and like shredded, and it was just bad. So the first thing that Mike ever bought me was a new copy of it. Aww, that was the first thing that was the first thing he ever bought me. So I was like, that's so sweet. Aww. And he actually like, he didn't want to write in the book. So he got a piece of paper and he put it in the front of the book and he wrote a note to me. So I still have that in it. So every time I read it, I get to read his note. I know, super cheesy, but if anybody wants to read that book, it's The Catastrophic History of You and Me by Jess Rothenberg. It's sad. It's a young adult novel, but it's about a teenage girl named Bree, and she literally dies from a broken heart when her boyfriend breaks up with her. So you're following her in the afterlife as she navigates the 5 stages of grief, with the help of a mysterious guide named Patrick. I'll just leave the mysterious guide part alone because you'll figure out why he's mysterious and why you end up loving Patrick. But she's also like discovering her family and friends' secrets back on Earth while she's going through all of this afterlife, you know, navigation. It's really good. I think it's really cute that they try to make it, because it's young adult, so they try to make it really funny in certain instances. So like the tone is really good of the book because you're reading it from her point of view, but every chapter of the book has a funny title because she makes jokes that like her and her brother are named after cheese. And she talks about like the cheesy music that she likes. So every title is a really like sappy, you know, oldies song. And, you know, it's really, the parts that I think are also really cute that really gets to me is her dog can see her.
I forgot about that.
It's so funny. I don't have a dark heart, but like there are some chapters where like she's dying and I'm like, she's so dramatic about it. But then there are moments where like the dog is crying because he can see her and no one else can. And I'm literally bawling because I'm like, he just misses you. Yeah. So, but if you want something like that, there you go. Completely different topic than the Alice Network.
Also a different topic from the Alice Network. Have you read Brimstone yet?
Is that's the second book, right?
Yeah, Quicksilver was the first one. Brimstone's the second.
I have not read the second one. I
just finished it yesterday.
It's literally my next read. I have like 6 more chapters of the book I'm currently in, and then I start Brimstone. But I knew you were going to ask me that because when I downloaded it, I was like, oh, I pre-ordered it. I was like, okay, I love when past me thinks of future me and she pre-orders something and then it's like a surprise when it downloads. But it downloaded the other day and I'm like, oh, I got to finish the book I'm in. And I'm like, I wonder if Brandy's like pausing her book so she can read this one real quick.
I didn't. I had it on hold because I listened to the audiobook. So I had it on hold, but I finished it last night. But there was a part that happened at the end that you're going to message me about.
Brandy has this habit of recommending books to me and not telling me the heartbreaking changes that are going to happen to me when I finish books. And then I call her or text her and I'm like, why? Why would you do this to me? And then she's like, so we can be together in misery.
But I did listen to it while I was cooking my brother and his family's food because I had, 10 hours. So I listened to it for like 10 hours that day. It was amazing. It was great. It was a 23 or 25 hour long audiobook. So I was like, I got to get this done quick.
See,
that helped me. And then I finished it today.
I still can't get into audiobooks. I wish I could, but I can't. Like, I don't know if it's just that I already have a vision of what the character looks like and how they sound, that if I'm worried if I do an audiobook, it's not going to match up and it's going to bother me.
Sometimes I do that. Yeah.
And I also worry that I'm not going to be able to really pay attention and I'm going to miss things. Like there are times where I'll read a chapter and be like, I don't understand what I just read. So I'll have to go back and reread that chapter. And I fear that if I do an audiobook, I can't just go back to it.
Some audiobooks, it's easier because you can like rewind. So I'll rewind. It'll go in like 15 seconds at a time. So sometimes, especially if I'm driving home and I'm like paying really good attention to the road, like I should, I might miss something and I just like backspace, like go back. But also, if I've realized my brain's been wandering for like, I don't even know what we're talking about right now.
Yep.
You can go back to the beginning of the chapter. So that's what I do, which it's harder in this book because the chapters are all very long, but in books where it's short chapters, like it's easier to do. So.
Yeah. I had started like 3 books ago. I had started one. It was like one of those like palate cleanser, like short little nothing books. And I was like, all right, I'm going to put that, like, I'm going to go ahead and read this. Like I think it was like a 200 page, 250, super short. And I'm like, all right, I'm just going to cruise through this, you know, palate cleanse myself. I made it halfway through and I was like, this is the stupidest book. I'm like, it makes no sense. It's supposed to be a romance. There's no romance at all. I can't even follow what this girl is going through in this book. I'm like, I can't even finish this. So I added it to the did not finish pile.
I did start one today on my way home from work. It's by Peter Swanson, but I don't remember what it's called. But it's a short book. I'm already really interested in it. It's going to be so good. It was like before she disappeared, or I don't know if that's what it's called or not. I don't know. Let me look. Hold on. Sorry.
No, you're
before she knew him. I just started it. I listened to it for maybe an hour.
It looks good. I might have to look into that one. I thought of you the other day. We went to a new thrifting antique place. Ooh. And it was really cool. It was 3 stories and it had like the different booths in it. So that way, like each person could like sell their own item. And it had a lot of variety. I really liked it. And there was one booth that was books. And I'm like, okay, yeah, books. The entire table was all Agatha Christie books.
Amazing.
The entire table. That. And I was looking through and I'm like, I can't remember what her favorite was. Because I was going to buy you a hard copy. I couldn't for the life of me remember what your favorite one was. But I was going through and I'm like, this entire table is just Agatha Christie.
My favorite one is called And Then There Were None. And I have it. Because I had it at one point in time, gave it to someone, they never gave it back, and I rebought it because I was like, I just need to own this book, but my favorite one's called And Then There Were None. And it's my favorite because of the poem that's in it. So I don't know if you know the poem, but if you don't know it, you should look it up. But I just want to preface that there are different versions of this poem, and it was written a very, very long time ago. So the original one had very, very bad words in it. So don't read that one.
I won't read that one. I see what you're saying. Oh, I like that. That's cool. The murders in the novel follow the pattern exactly. That's cool. See, I never really I've read Agatha Christie books. I was never like, some of them I get. They're easy. They're quick to understand. And then some of them I'm like, I get to the end and I'm like, I still don't understand what happened.
I think it's because of how long ago they were written. And I think sometimes they're hard to get into because we don't talk that way anymore. That's kind of how I think of it.
Don't get me wrong. Like Death on the Nile and Murder on the Orient Express. I loved both of them. Like still love both of them. There's another one that I really liked.
Anthony and I's first date was to see Murder on the Orient Express at the drive-ins.
Aww. Hercule Poirot's Christmas.
I have not read that.
It's good. I like it. The way that she wrote it, it's very similar. It's a later one. So it's similar to the way that the Murder on the Orient Express is. So it's a murder based around a tyrannical patriarch during a family gathering. So it's kind of like, it reminds me a lot of Clue because it's based around the family at this big fancy dinner and he's all full of himself. And I think you'd like it.
We should play Clue sometime.
We should.
It's fun. I don't know if we have it. We might have it.
I think it's hilarious
one friend.
Yes, I was just going to say, she and I, whenever we watch it, we say the entire movie word for word every time. Yep. And whenever we got together, we all went up to a cabin on a holiday. And
it was so much fun.
Our one friend, this was years ago, so he just newly became able to drink. And he was very drunk. And he was like, we should watch Clue, even though we had watched Clue like not even 20 minutes ago. He did not remember that we sat and watched the entire movie.
We also had to pull him out of the snow.
Yeah, poor kid.
He was drank too much and decided to lay outside in the snow and didn't tell anyone where he was going. And it took 3 of us to pull him inside. I hope he listens to this, and I hope he hears that. I hope he makes it the whole way to the end of the episode.
You're alive because of us today. You're welcome.
That is so true.
If you guys have any like suggestions on books and you want to let us know, we're always adding to our TBR. I can't guarantee we'd read it soon, but it'll be added to the list.
If you have any cool historical people or events that you would like us to research and maybe do an episode on, we're totally down for that, because I think this was so much fun. The book was good because it gave me the backstory, but researching it was also a lot of fun. So if you have any suggestions, please send us an email to tellthebabes@gmail.com or send us a message on Instagram at the Bitching Babes. Is it the Bitching Babes podcast or the Bitching Babes? I think it's just the Bitching Babes
podcast. No, it's podcast. It's
on
at the
Instagram?
end. Oh, on Instagram. I think it's just the Bitching Babes on Instagram. On YouTube, though, it's the full.
On YouTube. Can they send us messages on YouTube? They can't send us, but you can leave a comment on YouTube and we'll still see it. If you have any suggestions for a fun historical person or event that you would like us to research, please let us know. Also, we would love it if you could hit, follow, subscribe, download your episodes, like, comment, rate. We would love that.
Or we'll just go down the list.
So if you could do all the things and then tell 3 friends, we would love that. If you could, if everyone who listens could get 3 friends to listen, we would have 3 times as many people listening. And then maybe we could do some more fun things in the future that we have planned that we would love to be able to do, but we can't unless we get a lot of listeners.
Exactly.
Not to put any pressure on you, but like, follow, rate, subscribe, comment. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Bitching Babes. To share your stories with us, please send us an email to tellthebabes@gmail.com. Now, this is your friendly reminder to blow out your candle and hydrate responsibly. We'll see you next time.